Let's get this shining. Let's get this shining. Boom, baby, boom! Rise and shine. It's your morning marijuana motivation time. Oh, it feels good to be alive. It's not too hot. It's got that fresh air smell. You know what it's like when you first get up in the morning and everything's fresh and you see the trees and just how perfect flowers are. It's amazing. Life is amazing, man. We overcomplicate it. Per usual, the overthinking leads to the suffering, and the suffering leads to the heartache. Tell them, motorcycle man. Tell them how much your heart aches. Throttle it out. Throttle it out, boys. Throttle it out. Getting this traffic up this morning. I'm getting into this park. And what a blessed place to spark, man. I mean, I can feel that it wants to be a hot one today, but it's still saying cool for me. You know, it's like a perfect 70 degrees. I thought I was like, oh, I gotta go get my life together. That's it. Now the trees are blossoming, and how beautiful that is. I love it. I love getting up in the morning. My mind starts racing, and I go to save it. How many of us are catching up to our thoughts? How many of us have caught up to our emotions? I'm so grateful I don't live down there. I heard some voices coming from the hole, and I thought to myself, you know, you might be depressed. Well, at least you're not under a bridge. And that's what happens to us. We lose perspective inside of our thoughts. It's one of the biggest gains of our lives is to see our disappointment as more disappointment than depression. And as I went live yesterday and started getting some real information, right? Some of the real information that's out there about how our brains work and how we can master our emotions. You know what I'm saying? We have the ability to say that we're disappointed. You know? We're disappointed that life isn't perfect. We're disappointed that, you know, sure, we're not living underneath the underpass, but we'll still complain about the things that haven't come to pass. And instead of finding ways to make things work, we stay in ways that don't work. We literally hold on to our habits and our personalities harder. We double down on stupid, basically. The cards aren't correct, but our emotions lead us to do incorrect behavior. And it's not like it's correct or incorrect. It's more of, does it work or not work for you? And unfortunately, a lot of the things I was doing, I was destroying my potential with it. You know, when I really wanted something so bad, I started to get fixated. And in my meiosis, instead of having just, I guess it's myopic, it's meiosis, instead of being dual optic and seeing with both left and right hemispheres of my brain literally gets fixated on the ways things aren't working. And I know you know what I'm talking about. We're going to talk about train brain right now. But to train our brains into looking for optimism and to train our brains to give ourselves a chance at life, right? Like we're already shutting down the options. And some of the options is the verbiage that we choose to talk to ourselves with. You know, one of the choices is the mind, body, and soul. So we got to start with the mind. You know, our mind, one of the most fascinating things I was getting from this, I kind of want to, now I want to go get my, maybe I will just go get my, I'll go get my hat so I don't burn up. All right, go in the car, stick it to the plan. Telling my mind what to do instead of my mind telling me what to do. How many people can admit that? How many people in their lives can admit that their mind started telling them what they can and can't do. Their fear, expectations, and unreasonable beliefs have started to get them to steer in directions they didn't know were clear. And it's tough. It's tough. I mean, I looked at it around the world. That smells so good. Reminds me of my childhood. Fresh grass like this reminds me of football in Las Vegas, where it's hot and the only plant life is this green grass. But anyway, let's get it. So the tough part is that loss is inevitable. Nobody's making it through life unscathed. And I talk about it all the time, but a lot of people keep pretending that perfection is a possibility. And I keep saying perfectly imperfect. The facts for most people, like we talked about yesterday, the 2 arrow system, is that in Buddhism, they're already expecting the first arrow. In our reality, we're not even prepared for the first foot to drop. We just expect everything to be fucking perfect. And if it's not perfect, it gets thrown in the trash. And we live in a throwaway society. That's why I believe in upselling clothing. You know, we do these things and expect different results. And that's the definition of insanity. That's where we get it wrong. We get inside of ourselves and expect everything to be absolutely perfect, even though your genetics aren't perfect and your attitude isn't perfect and life isn't perfect. We hold things in higher regard. And I wanted to just give everybody today a chance to take it down a notch and talk to yourself and say, hey, stop being so hard on yourself. Imperfection is normal. And this fakeness, And I know, I saw somebody write it, and the girl said something to the effect, don't even get jealous of looking like these other women. These women don't even look like themselves. We get so up in arms about relationships that we might perceive someone to have a better life, or that we think that their lives are perfect. And then we realize that even the actors shit the bed. Even famous fucking Hollywood stars got problems. And we like to think that as soon as we make a lot of fucking money, that we fixed all topics. Like as soon as we can fix our topic, there are no more topics. And the only topic we can fix is our perspective. Get them. That's Nightmare, if you can't tell. It's inevitable that we find ourselves at a crossroads of imperfection and growth, and that all of us see growth as like this perfect pattern or existence that happens, and it doesn't. What ends up happening is we crash. We make mistakes. Inevitably, bad things happen. And for all of us that think it's only going to be the good things that are going to happen, we're severely disappointed. We're disappointed when we don't win the lottery. Even though it's impractical or improbable, we're still disappointed. And that's the thing we all had to have the conversation about today, is undisappointing ourselves and giving ourselves more realistic achievements. Most people are going to go with the assumption that they're going to be rich. They're not. Rich doesn't just happen. It's got to be earned. But instead of earning it, we rather bitch for it. We rather bitch at it because it didn't happen, and our attitudes get misaligned or misadjusted or malappreciated, and then we don't get to talk to ourselves completely. We're only telling half stories. We're only telling the parts that didn't make it. You didn't tell the part of the story where you attempted. You didn't tell the part of the story where, actually I'll go this way because there's too much traffic on it. You didn't tell the part of the story where you at least tried. And that's some of the most important things we can do, is giving it that world-class effort of I'm in control of my mind. I tell it what to do. I told it last night to get the fuck off my lazy ass and go to work. Go walk. Go do something with your bad self. Go be the change you want to see in the world, because the world is changing. And for those that can adapt, we get to survive. For those of us that dwell and hold, we're missing the whole concept of evolution. Now, all of us assume that all the birds made it, all the snakes made it, everything evolved and leveled up, and that's not how it works. That's not how it works at all. In fact, a lot of us aren't making it in life. A lot of us have disappointments, and that's a fact of life. When you get to a point in your life where you can honestly say that, you know, you're perfectly imperfect, you're under construction, and you're waiting to, not waiting, you're taking opportunities to adjust yourself. And how awesome would that be, to be the type of person that gets inside their world and takes the opportunity to adjust themselves and say, this too shall pass. You know, when I'm going through it, this too shall pass. This is part of my journey. These are part of my lessons. This is part of my growth. Most people don't want any growth. They don't want the pain. And in that, we do avoidance strategies. We start avoiding having deeper conversations with our parents, our friends, ourselves. That's just too much, right? It's too much work. So we'll go back to the easy part of complaining instead of the accountable part of taking responsibility for our decisions, realizing that we participated in it too. Whatever the decision was, you participated in it. And a lot of us are disappointed in ourselves, our decisions, and the outcomes. This is part of life. It's really to test you, see what things beat you, you know? I mean, it sounds easy on a Donkey Kong level. And you're going over there and you're smashing barrels and you're climbing, you know, ladders and saving princesses. That part's pretty easy. You know, that's a quarter away. That's your time, money, and a game. It's very similar to life, you know, except for it takes a little bit more than moving the joystick. We got to move the joystick in our minds. It's easy to move it with our hands. It's easy to move it with our mouths, but to move it with our minds, to use our Jedi mind forces to say, hey, I have control over my mind. I've just been emotional. I've been doing emotional things inside of my head, so I told myself emotional things, so I acted emotionally. It's so true, but it's how we do it. We'll get inside of ourselves and feel vindicated. We'll feel it appropriate to lose our control, lose our composure, let people know how it is. And all too quickly, we've got ourselves out of sorts. We've played ourselves. We've been played by our emotions. And that's why this conversation had to be had this morning, because our emotions start dictating 95% of what we do. I heard it was 80%, which is too high. 95% is all of it. That's all of it. You're barely keeping chips in your pocket. Like, at that point, you only got $5 in your pocket. The rest is all emotion, raw, unfiltered, unadulterated emotion. And how many of us know this? How many of us know how emotional we are? How many of us know that all of our purchase decisions were based on emotions? That very few, far in between, you can try to rectify or explain it to somebody. Like, sir, why did you just buy that brand new Tesla? Or why did you wait outside for the Tickle Me Elmo? Or, you know, why didn't you wait till next year for the Tickle Me Elmo? Because you got caught up with the energy. You wanted your kid to have the best, and you convinced yourself to wait outside for hours outside of a Chinese retailer, and they're lapping their way to the bank, and you're getting stressed because you don't want your kid not to get the Tickle Me Elmo. It's okay they don't get Tickle Me Elmo. It's okay you don't get all your touchdowns either. There's so much of us that say, well, if I lack, then I'm going to lack in life. If I lose it all, then I'm a loser. And it leaves no room for growth. It leaves no room for growth. Your perfection keeps you trying to control your growth. I liken it to when you're snipping a bonsai tree, right? That's some slow growth, some slow, very controlled growth that we're looking at. People love that shit. They love slow growth, incremental growth, growth by design. People live in that reality. I'm with it. I mean, I get it. But the truth is that we grow much faster than bonsai trees. I mean, that might take generations of people trimming one certain tree to get it to shape a certain way. We have generations of people shaping their children with beliefs and shaping themselves with fears. It's such a weird psychology, but we get a psychology inside of ourselves. We say, hey, this is the way that I am. This is the way I'm gonna be. And I psychologized myself to this moment. Everything that I've ever been through, I found a way to have my own coping mechanism. I said to myself, hey, you can endure anything. And the only reason you know is because all the things that you've endured are at your feet. Everything that once tried to kill you has made you stronger. And Marcus Aurelius is something else, but it's so true that everything that we want is on the other side of fear. I think of my best friend Hamilton right now. We're moving some of his stuff while he's out of country, but my buddy, let's see these flowers. My buddy was sitting there depressed in the house. That's amazing. Wow. That's amazing. Depressed, for sure paying his bills, for sure sitting still, But the thing of it, the aha moment, is that he's been gone for this last 7 months or whatever, and like half a year of his life that he didn't know his plan was gonna be. I was like, he really didn't say goodbye to anybody. He really didn't have a goodbye party. You just pack it up and you fucking go. And now you live in a whole different rhythm. Instead of making it to 40 years old without ever going around the world or going on adventures, still being scared, still scared of his own shadow, still depressed enough to stay still, we have found ways to cope that aren't exactly healthy. They might placate us and make us feel like it's okay. Well, fuck her, I'm gonna do better. That's a cover-up. There's no one to get fucked or tell to fuck off. It's more of, what can I control, right? What am I in control of? And the truth is, I'm in control of my own suffering. Thank you, Chaos. I'm not in control about what's going to happen to me. I don't know when I'm going to die. Neither do you. So there's the clutch of our lives. Like, you're not asked to be born. Now you're in this game of life. Every day you wake up, you're your personality, thoughts, and fears. And now it's time to adjust. And I love that we can tell our minds what to do. We just constantly trying to turn our minds off. And we give it over to social media or porn or Netflix or some sort of entertainment. Say, you drive the wheel. You take over now. And that's unhealthy, When you have so much power in your brains and abilities in your lives and your bodies, it's unhealthy that we park ourselves. We just straight park and pause ourselves and forget that we're alive. It's so important to be alive. I don't know how else to tell you this, like when I'm here stretching, I feel stronger. I feel mentally and physically stronger. I'm giving my body and life the chance at endorphins and feeling better and feeling good and making my body work for me. It's so important that we make Our bodies work for us. We make our minds work our bodies, and then our bodies work our souls. It goes right through us in the levels. Right through us in the levels. Right through the levels. Whew. Yeah, talking to your cells, talking to yourself, having real conversations uninterrupted by flicking of other people's information or them trying to be cool or a popularity contest. Everybody wants to be popular. Everybody wants 1,000 hits, 1,000 likes, 1,000 friends, but nobody's really there. Nobody really talk. Good morning. Nobody really to talk to. We're talking to our phones. We forgot to talk to ourselves. They can't wait. They can't wait for you to get lonely. They can't wait for you to just hop on your phone as soon as you wake up and stay on it all day long, and I've been guilty of it too. I've been guilty of giving up my control, my strength, my inner power. Oh man, I'm sore from last night still. How many of you can say that? How many of you can be really honest right now and say, I've given away my power to my fear. I've given my power away to life. And instead of being a living organism on this planet with the rest of us, we try to get robotic. We try to build bigger fences and stay isolated. The COVID didn't help. We really realized how much we need each other. Just like having your own bills, but by the time it's time to protect the home, you know, from other men, the savagery, you know, or yourself out in a parking lot, or just your family, the protection is real. It's almost the same as a protection, right? Sure, they're there to protect you, but really they're there to, what's the word that they do? Extradite? No, that's not it. What's the word? I can't think of the word. The word is, oh man, good morning. Help free the USA. Good morning, welcome to the show. It's not extradite. What's the word where the mob comes up to you and sure they're extortion. They're extorting you, you know? Like literally, it's like, sure, you're protected, but these motherfuckers might come into your house and break up all your shit. It's much like my last relationship, to look at it and go, shit, man. Sure, there's this many benefits, but I felt like I was getting extorted, you know? Morning. We're alive another day. Yep. And to be able to say, you know, I don't want to take things from relationships. I want to add things to them. I would like to be the person that adds communication. I would like to be the person that adds understanding. I would like to be the person that adds helpfulness to the scenario. The truth of it is, though, I wasn't always so helpful. I mean, it's always easy for us to say such things and just like, but are you being part of the problem? Or are you being part of the solution? And one of the solutions of healing suffering, like we were doing yesterday, was realizing that these things are coming for you. You know, I don't want to wish bad things about other people. I just know that bad things happen to everyone. And it's not any rhyme nor reason. Sometimes it happens in threes. Sometimes it happens singularly. Sometimes it's a motherfucking full-on natural disaster. But the truth is that it's happening. Each one of us is going to have something completely unpredictable. Us being born, us dying, and in between. Something's going to happen where we have to adjust our wings. We're going to have to adjust the way that we think and work and understand each other. There has to be more adjustments instead of just staying stagnant. Instead of just sitting there and taking the shit, you can say, hey, This is disappointment. It's the frame of it. Nice hat. Yeah, bro. Morning. This is what it is. It's disappointment. Okay, so I didn't achieve my first gold medal. How many do you think? Let's be realistic. How many Olympians get to gold medal status? How many of us can churn our bronze medals, silver medals into gold? And a lot of people don't want to see that. They only want to see the top guys, the undefeated guys, the guys that haven't gotten knocked out. Some of the realest shit I heard in a long ass time was the guy Michael Johnson talking about it, but he was keeping it real. And Michael Johnson said, it sucks, bro. You feel like the biggest loser in the world. You go from being one of the best fighters in the world, pound for pound, top rank, to losing 4 fights in a row, and now you're broke. And you done got beat up and knocked out, and now you got no money. Now you got no pride. Now you got no girlfriend. Knocked the fuck out. And it's true. What did they say? It's inevitable. Yes. If you enjoy to screw the gold medal. If you enjoy screw the gold medal. I'm reading this out loud, but it's true. Shout out where you're at and where you're from and how old you are too, by the way. But it's true. We let our disappointments turn into depression. We'll literally take mistakes and make them lifetime mistakes. We'll marry our mistakes, we'll marry our emotions, and not know that we've been holding on to them since childhood. Some people still abandon. I've been studying some more of Freud, but these rooms, I keep saying it, there are rooms inside of our minds. We are a whole house inside of our heads, and each room isn't always lit. Some of these rooms we've kept dark and secret, and whether we like it or not, they whisper, they talk to us, they say things, and they scare us. Plastic pocket challenge, plastic pocket challenge, and they scare us. And because they scare us, we shut them tighter and take out more light. And I invite you to get out your light. I invite you to grab a whole candelabra of candles and go into the attic and start doing some spring cleaning. Yeah, it got dirty. Yeah, it's dark and dusty, but you made it that way. And just like you made it, it's also conquerable. It's also unlearnable. And that's one of my favorite things, is that it doesn't have to stay that way. You don't have to keep your attic's closets darkness any longer. You can light the way. You can go get therapy. You can ask for friendships. You can get psychedelics. There's so many ways to open up these realms and say, hey, what am I really afraid of? Why am I self-sabotaging myself? There's some things that we do subconsciously in those rooms that need to be addressed and talked about. When we adjust them, we adjust our sails. We become better sailors. And a lot of us, we just want a better boat. We just feel like as long as I have a better boat, everything in my life will be better. And that's not true. You got to make do with what you have. There's nothing I can hand you. I can't hand you your pride. I can't hand you a goal achieved. I can hand you the boat, you know what I mean? But I can't hand you the skills to ride or drive or sail that boat. And each person's weather is different too. So what port are you going to go to? Again, there's so many plans, but look at the bottom of the Mediterranean. That's where it's at. That's how many people have made really expensive plans. They say that the old ships were they're the first corporations of the world. They were just so expensive. All the goods, all the sailors, all the hope going in one direction. And then what happens? That's right. This is what happens. The Mack truck comes by and boosh! There goes your dreams. There goes your expectations. All the sailors are in the water scrambling away from sharks. Life is something else, man. And not one of us, I know this gives me solace, but not one of us is getting out of here unscathed. Not one of us is going to make it through life without some sort of scratch or issue or danger. So I want you to get notes, take heed. This is happening, and to be prepared. Prepare yourself for disappointment. Good morning. Prepare yourself for the unknown. We all pretend like we got all the no's and everything's going to be exactly as prescribed. Even our medicines have side effects. Even our commercials have side effects. Watching the social media has a side effect. I'm trying to get an effect out of my sides. I'm trying to get an effect out of the things that I have pride. I'm gonna die. Someone almost ran me over. And that's what it is, you know, like this chick's in a rush. Does she sense it? That the universe is telling her to slow down? You know, do we sense ourselves? Do we have any sense of our sense? And that's what ends up happening. I don't know why this guy's just parking here, but I get away from the noise because that don't make no sense. You know, like, go to school. You're a school bus. Why are you still here? That don't make no sense. Well, that's where we live at. We have to make sense inside of our own minds and say, okay, you know, this makes sense to me. You know, what doesn't make sense to me is going to a bar and expecting my bartender to be a psychologist. That doesn't make sense to me. There's so many trucks and loud noises. Everybody out here is being loud. So that don't make sense to me. I'm gonna walk away from it. I can go in any direction I want to. And so can you. Inside of our minds, we can take navigation. We can be the captain of our ships. We have the ability to choose directions and ports that we want to sail into. But not everybody has the bravery. Not everybody wants to be away from their home. What was it, 4 or 5 years from your boy, what's his name? Fucking evolution himself. Darwin was just an English bloke. He was literally raised very fancy. He came from money. All of his family knew everybody. And he never been out of the country on a boat. Knew nothing. Actually, he had to re-assimilate. Cool story, because he didn't know how to talk to all the guys. And the guys were kind of ribbing him. You know, they're all sailors. We all know how drunken sailors talk. And they're like, who's this posh little fat boy who never did anything in his life? And that's exactly what Darwin was. He was some posh little fat boy who needed some adjusting. He needed to know that he could live without his parents. He needed to know that he could live on the edge of the world. I mean, you're talking about the archipelago of everything in the world, South Africa and South America and all those things. So, good morning. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about real change, to be like, do you have the balls to pull a Hamilton? Do you have the balls to pull a Darwin? Do you have the balls to pull a Saint? And take everything that you know and pack it up. All the things that you've been buying for your identity and your comfort, you pack it up. You actually pack up your comfort and you say, I want to be discomforted. I want some risk in my life. I want to live. And most people, they don't want to do that. There's another laugh. This dog needs to shut up. But we want to live. Watch me really fire him up. Beautiful flowers. So, you know, when we're going through it, I was saying, here's a example of it. Last night I was watching somebody talk about, I think it was Nigerian, it doesn't matter, Somalian, somewhere from Africa. This guy had basically ruled the world from the computer. And he had 300 people in a call center in Israel. They were all working for him. None of them knew who their boss was. You know, he had military operations going on. This dude's doing fucking missile deals with Iran. He's one of the first uptakers of Bitcoin. Like, these guys are heavy in the control money game. And what we saw, and how we normally see things, and homie said, even watching like Prison Breaks, is we get excited for people that actually live. Now, someone that's actually done a prison break and actually tried to break free from South Korean prison, and I've actually wrote my book, the book Endure. It's about my actual experience in South Korean prison. I go in detail into that book. You can get it on Amazon or Kindle, the book Endure, on Instagram. And literally people like, well, man, I want to read that book so I can feel like I lived I would not wish that upon any of my worst enemies. I would never wish prison on people I even hate, like I got to stay from, and I shouldn't even hate. And we shouldn't be punishing people this way. But that's what we do. And unfortunately, we believe in punishment as a solution instead of rehabilitation. And that's what I'm talking about. To rehabilitate one's mind, you got to stop looking at things as depression and start looking at them as disappointment. You know, it didn't happen the way you wanted it to. Oh, well. And what are you going to do next? You know, I mean, that's the real question of the day in our lives is, you know, we get stopped. We literally stop ourselves and go, well, I didn't get the blue bow, or, you know, it wasn't exactly the way that I wanted it to. But did you die? And are you alive? And that's a huge question that most people don't get into themselves and say, you know, hey, let me have this conversation with myself and say, I'm doing this to break a habit. I'm doing this to break the monotony. I'm doing this to reframe my mind and put some work into it and say, hey, this is you giving a try. And it's not just a try anymore, it's a do, because a try is just like an attempt at doing something. I'm talking about actually doing something, actually taking control of our lives, actually picking up plastic, actually putting it in the trash, you know, actually taking some sort of ownership and action in our lives, some accountability. You know, it helps. Everything that you get to talk to yourself, you get to say to yourself, oh shit, man, you got more control than you're giving yourself credit for. You got self-control, you got self-discipline, and you got self-direction. And those things are so crucial to us having conversations with ourselves. We don't give ourselves enough credit. We're always going in the morning, comparing ourselves immediately on the phone. We literally give up our momentum to social media. Like as soon as you wake up, it's your highest peak performance time. And the first thing you do is go to compare time or who's doing what. And I know you're watching this show now, and I appreciate that. I hope that you're doing some morning yogas or walking while I'm walking, walk and talk with me. You know what I mean? I want somebody to have some motion. Motion creates emotion. And then once you start creating that momentum from that emotion, now you realize that the emotions are just that. They're the sparks that get you there, but they're not the things that keep you there. A lot of us have learned behavior inside of ourselves that said, okay, like me, I'll use myself for a case in point, and I said it yesterday, but I would use anger as my ladder to climb objectives. I would use my spite that the world was trying to hold me back, and I would just try harder than everyone else, and it didn't matter how I was treating everyone. It was all about E for effort. And I realized that I was putting in a lot of effort, but I was also miscommunicating a lot. Okay, I wasn't aligned with what my true being was being. I told you I was starting to fixate. And just like any addict or obsessive compulsive person, you know, I only wanted to fixate on the perfection of it than the enjoyment of it. And I'll tell you the story and how it ended. I've been traveling the world for 2 years, man. My first time around the world, I was traveling, and I had everything together. We just spent a whole month together, me and my friends. We were all over the place, all of us together. It was amazing. Spending a month on an 8-mile long beach, playing Frisbee with my friends. Everybody was enjoying. It was a really cool experience. This is what I got to do, you know? And it was such an amazing adventure of my life that I was able to boldly go and go see things all over the world. But really what I was starting to do was I was starting to see myself and the excuses that I made before, and how the things that I owned end up owning me, and that I kept buying complacency. I just kept buying my comfort, and in that convenience, it cost me a pretty penny. It cost me my time. It cost me my abilities to take action. Feel me now, taking action in our lives and saying, I don't need outside influence. I don't need somebody else to tell me what to do, an infomercial, a P90X. I can get the fuck up right now and start doing sit-ups. I can get up right now and just leave my house and go on an adventure. I could boldly go anywhere I want to go as long as I choose to. And that's what ends up happening. We make choices. We hold these truths to be self-evident, where the only choice that we have, oh shit, the school bus. When was the last time you saw the school bus? Everybody's catching up. Look how cool that is. You know, look at our youth. That's so cool. Up early, all dressed up, representing you, representing us, representing our futures. How cool is that? All right, guys. That's what school looks like. That's what family looks like. That's what support looks like. Everybody's in on it together. We do it for the love. And we do it every time. We give it our all. We keep going further and further till we can't give no more, and then we give some more. We're amazing creatures. Humans are so loving and giving when it comes to the things that we care about. And I think you care about yourself. I think you care about your mental health, wealth, and well-being enough to hear this show out and go, man, there have been times where I am to blame for my own mental stability. If I had only reframed myself, and I mean reframing my ideas, my fears into possibilities, I wouldn't be so closed off. I wouldn't be so scared. And I have so many points to point to of people that stopped being scared and started to live. And that's this whole conversation this morning, is to stop being scared and start living. You know, you're scared of your own shadow. When you get closed in, and much like that, I think it was Plato's oligarchy of the cave, where we're only in the perspective that we see. We don't even get to see the direct sunlight. We forget, and we live myopically. We start getting in our own ways and thinking that that's the only way the world works. That's the only way we can see it. We can't even have conversations of different political views because we're so stuck. We'd much rather prove to ourselves that we're right than prove to ourselves that we can communicate or that we can learn a different task. So easy to stay ignorant. Well, that's what my mom taught me. Well, what about the facts, man? Doesn't matter. It's what my mom taught me. And you're like, oh my God, the South is real. The South is real. The ignorance is bliss. And we'll do that to ourselves. We'll keep ourselves ignorant. We'll keep ourselves uneducated. How many of you picked up the book? When's the last time you bought a book? When's the last time you invested in your information, or is it always just free? When it's free and unsolicited, it comes with commercials, much like my show is about to get commercials. Like, I'm going to be monetized, and I'm not paid by Google. They're just sharing some of the trillions of dollars they make in ads with me. That's what's happening. I'm putting in my effort so they can pay me later through advertising with your attention. And that's how important your attention is. It's trillions of dollars worth of wealth to investors in the stock and everything else. But to us, we'll give up our focus quick. Well, I feel a little bored. Time to get on the phone. I would love for you to feel what I feel when I put down this phone. And I know when I'm jonesing and, let me just check one more email. And, let me just check, another pop-up. And when I'm in notifications world, and I'm living on that phone, and it's making me work for free, taking up all my time and attention, and controlling my behavior and my thoughts. I chose it. I couldn't wait to flick it on and just go, you, tell me what to do. Tell me what to eat today. I used to do that a lot with Instagram and be like, man, I'm fucking starving. I'm gonna have to, glad my hat's on, shoot. That's really, come on, wind. Trying to be all like a kite. This is not a kite. This is my life. I'm gonna fly this little kite right. That's what we're talking about. Flying our kite right. Oh my God, cotton mouth really bad, but trash. Flying our kites right, and that's what it's gonna take, is some new education and a learning ability to go inside of ourselves and say, hey, there it is. I know you've been talking to yourself rude. I know you've been beating yourself up. Everyone's known what it's like to be beaten as a child or spanked or what's the word when you become disciplined, right? Physically disciplined. We've learned that, pain is a really good teacher. We've learned that it's the quickest way to getting results. The hard work is the regular practice regular meditations, regular conversations with ourselves. That's the hard part. That's going to be this challenge, because we'd much rather, again, the hours that we could have spent on concentrating on ourselves and our responses and our lives, we hand it over to someone else. We hand it over to Facebook world and a meta world of jealousy and envy and fake fun and fake love. And we give it over to that world and we go, all right, let me compete with these dudes. Let me compete with these people that really aren't happy, instead of competing with myself to get myself happy. What's it gonna take to take these arrows out of my chest and unsuffer? What kind of conversations, realities are you gonna have with yourself to see, hey self, things have been going kind of rough, and I need some self-care. You're gonna need a book. You're going to need some private time, and you're going to need some workouts. And that's what I prescribe to you to get you back on track. Most of us are hiding. We won't find our tracks. We won't do any of those adjustments at all. It's just swallow it. Swallow some alcohol. Learned it from my grandma, learned it from her mom, and now I'm a drinker. And you're like, yeah, that's you guys the same brain, same monkey brain, same genetics, processing stress differently. And that's really what this conversation was about, is, you can get disappointed, but you don't have to get depressed. Things aren't always you're not always gonna win the Grammys. You know what I mean? Kanye's break up with Kim's, there are no fairy book endings. We like to pretend that there are. We make up our own scenarios. We create fake scenarios in our lives that we pretend, just so we can survive. We lie to ourselves. We concoct weird scenarios that didn't happen. We protect ourselves with thoughts and other plastic pocket challenge, just to protect our psyches. Again, there's a certain way you packed up your attic. There's a certain way you close that door. And there's going to take a brave moment that doesn't have a phone in its hand to go inside there and peer back into the darkness. Enlighten yourself, getting some enlightenment. It's not easy. It's not going to be really hard, because most of us, again, have found a way to put on a smile just so people think that's our character. We've sent out our characters many times out into the world. I think it's called an avatar, but you can call it a surrogate, like the movie Surrogate with Bruce Willis. We're all sending our Bruce Willis selves out there with hair, knowing damn well Bruce Willis is bald, famously bald, but there he is with a big old poof of yellow, like he's always had hair. We like to think that we're always going to have hair. That's going to change. We like to pretend that we're always going to have time. That's going to change. We're on borrowed time, and that makes it of the essence. So when a lot of us expect it, we become demanding. We become entitled. We're very entitled. We're entitled to meals, even though it's not always been promised. We're entitled to love, even though we don't love ourselves. We became entitled as fuck. And that's why we had to have this conversation this morning, is to get real as fuck and really talk to ourselves and say, what's real as fuck? What is real as fuck? What's real in my life? What can I change to make my life better and make it more real, more sustainable, more appreciative, more akin to what reality is? And that's something we all can do. And that's what we're gonna do now. We're gonna get on this phone. We're gonna let a caller come in. We got 10 minutes to get our breath and get some water. Hopefully you've enjoyed the show thus far. Got something out of it. I'm always talking about that. The ability to transfer information and talk to ourselves, get something better out of our lives. So important. So important that we have mental stability. So important that we know how our brains function. A lot of people have no clue what their type is, like what type of person they are, what type of way they process stress, and how they're going to cope with the future. That's what this conversation is about to be about. So Let's roll up this blunt. Let's take another caller and get on Saints Addiction. Get on these Instagrams. Get it. And I want everybody to comment on things that they readjusted in their mind and things got better because they adjusted. I want to have that conversation this morning about a pivot in your mind. One time that you pivoted an idea or pivoted a fear and turned it into a promise. Turned it into a promise to yourself that you would never fear again, that you can always do better. How many people have done that? How many people have had conversations with themselves and said, I'm not going to be shy anymore. I'm going to talk to her. I'm going to talk to her. My friend the other day, she said a stalker came into her job, came in, professed his love to her. She wasn't there, and he passed out at the bar and nobody knew who he was. How many of us are like that? Inside of our heads, wanting to talk to that pretty woman who we think our whole lives will be better. On the other side of fear, a simple thing is talking to someone becomes the biggest thing. Now all of a sudden you can't even say hello to your father. Now all of a sudden you get into feuds and everybody's like, why are y'all still feuding? Because I don't know how to talk. I really don't. I don't know how to talk to myself, and I don't know how to talk to these other people. And now it's come to bear. All of us, this has come to bear that all of us need to learn how to talk to ourselves and talk to others. This is interpersonal communication and also communication with ourselves. Thank you very much, Mr. Trout, for that kind of energy with that kind of statement. You know, it's like we are so much more powerful than we give ourselves credit to. We give a lot of our power over to people that don't care about us or our time. And now we got to figure out why. We literally got to get into our lives and go, why is it like this? Why are we like this? It's so fucking hot out here. I want the light. I wanted to do the show. Whew. Your boy say, I'm going to cool off a little bit here. Let the hair breathe. Whew. And let's get this show for the road. So anybody that's been, the one person that's been watching this whole time, thank you. Thank you for investing in yourself and your time. You know, I tell people all the time they can do it anytime they want to. They can get into themselves. They can make a new life. Man, I'm stinky. I'm sneaking on my Saints brand shirts. By the way, get yourself a Saints brand shirt. If you don't know what a dream looks like, this is my dream. You know, graduating from college homeless. I got my UNLV shirts. I sat here and drew this symbol when I was 10 years old. You know, the Saint, he's a T and an S. It's the Saint. I don't know if you can see it with the halo. But I made that a long time ago. Used some of used Saint Laurent fonts and extended it as Saints brand. You should be able to recognize that S. You know, S on my chest. That's what we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to find the S on our chest, the survivor, not the super. Everybody wants to be super. I'd much rather be. Of course, who doesn't want to be Superman and flex on them and be super strong and never have any problems? But even Superman had problems. Every one of the Marvel characters has some sort of affliction, some sort of background story, something that they had to overcome. Peter Parker's nerdy. Clark Kent, nerdy. Everybody wants to be the strong version, but not the nerdy version. Everybody wants to leap buildings in a single bound. You know, little to no effort, stop bullets. Of course we want to stop bullets. There's a lot of bullets with people's names on it that shouldn't have been hit. And this is that kind of conversation is, what kind of bullets am I getting hit with that I shouldn't be hit with? You know, what kind of suffering do I keep adding on to my suffering when I could ease the issue myself or got better with something? How many of us are still making our own scenarios worse? And I know I have, and I want to be part of the solution is really what we're having this conversation this morning is I want to be part of a solution where I'm helpful to myself. You know, I help my own mentality. I go inside my own brain and say, you know, brain, you need help in these areas. And you would do it on YouTube almost summarily. Everybody gets on YouTube. If you don't know how to do something, you want to hang your TV set, you want to join Weed Club, get that energy, you want to get inside the club and get source and smoke safely. Oh, I bet you do. That's what we do. We have to find a way to get that energy inside of our brains and have healthier discussions with ourselves. Some people call it meditation. I guess you could call it rehabilitation, sobriety, all these things. The only thing that I do know is that it's harder to have these tough conversations with yourself because they're deep conversations. It's not like a style of self-talk that most of us have. Most of our self-talk tends to be negative and internal, and we're afraid. We're afraid some of these thoughts are inappropriate. you know Sexually, murders, like revenge ideas that we have in our heads, some of these are inappropriate, so we're scared to share inappropriate thoughts. Like I said, I've been studying Freud, and there's dark places in all of our minds, of childhood abuse and emotional trauma and things that didn't go right in our lives, and things that, it's not going to go that way. That's the fact of life, is that life isn't promised a certain way. There is no promise that it's going to end up a certain way. We get a lot of hope and a lot of disappointments, but it's okay to get disappointed. It's okay to try and fail. What's not okay is not trying at all. What's not okay is not living. You've been blessed with a life and breath in your lungs. My child didn't even get to make it that far. He started kicking, but he didn't even get to kick it into real life. There's so many people out there, you think about it and you're like, oh, if I only had one more chance to talk to that person, I would have said this. I would have done X, Y, Z differently. And now's the time to do that. Right now. Instead of saying I would have, you can now. And that's the thing that I think the biggest part of the actions is that we can take action. We have the ability to take action. We have the ability to hopefully you have the ability to put your phone down when you have to, the ability to concentrate, the ability to reshape our minds. And that's what I'm talking about this morning, is there's an ability for us to go, okay, I don't have to work out. I get to work out. This is my time to get my mind right and get away from my kids, or get away from people in general. It's not a have to, it's a get to. And again, this is a popular psychology term, but it's reframing. Reframing our minds. And that's why I do all of Saints Anarchy stuff as the Over series, is love over hate. We're reframing it. I knew I loved my ex because I have some hate for her. You could sit there and go, man, fuck that motherfucker, but you still talking about him. It's still on your mind. So you can say, fuck that motherfucker. If you really want to fuck out that motherfucker, stop mentioning him. Get detached. If you really want to have some self-control and stop bitching about the things that are in your life, get detached. Stop talking about it. Be about it. There's so many of us that will get holding on to something and we're just stuck on it. We aren't detached at all. Again, I said it last night, but I was married to my emotions. I was married to the way it made me feel. It made me feel sometimes strong, like my anger, and then sometimes weak, like my depression. It makes you feel certain ways. And that's the conversation we have to have today, is how are you making yourself feel? How are you reframing your mind and your emotions and your scenarios to work for you? Each one of us does it consciously or subconsciously on a certain level. We make the world work for us. We reframe it all the time. And we're playing, what's the movie? Inception. We're flipping the world to our own memory and likeness. We're like, all the places we ever been and all the memories that came with it and all the emotions we attach to that. And, it could be the old log cabin, and now you're thinking about your grandpa, and we pair all sorts of things. Smells. It could be an old street making you remind you of your old boyfriend. Like, it doesn't matter. And we are filled with stimulus, filled with it. And now we're almost to an hour long, so you guys get to smoke this with me, and we'll get a caller. Everybody get a chance to go to Saints Addiction on Instagram. You can call in and make a comment. Add to this. Add to stuff that you previously believed, and then changed your mental frame to it, your attitude towards it, and the power changed towards it too. Is anybody else in on that? Who else can tell me of a time, and I'll let you call in on Saints Addiction right now, a time where you reframed yourself, where you literally stopped telling yourself the negative things and got something positive out of it. I'm going to take in a caller. Let's get this going. Saints Addiction. Boom, baby, boom. Let's get how we live. Boom, that's an hour. Let's go live. Yeah, man. I need that. Yes, blessed. Here we go. Boom, baby. Boom. Shine, baby. Rise and rise. Your morning marijuana motivation time. Your host with the most, Marquis Saint. And every morning I get up and I am blessed to be alive. And so are you. And this morning is no different. We've already gone live for an hour here on the show. You are live on the Saint Addiction Show. You can call in live here. And we're going to take some callers this morning and talk about things that we have experienced in our lives that we reframed and maybe stopped hating on an ex and made our own solutions. My hair's getting wild. Made our own solutions out of discrepancies where we literally turned a problem into a solution with our own minds and our own solutions. Can anybody else tell me that? Anybody else have had an opportunity where I get my big belly out of the camera and I feel super self-conscious with my shirt off, but it's 100 fucking degrees and I'm sweating by the sweat of my sides. It's just human. And that's how perfectly imperfect things are. You know, everybody wants to be so polished and together and have green screens to pretend like they're not in their mom's garage, man. They're on Mars. They'll have you believing that you can be on Mars too. Well, eventually, anything's in belief. The one thing we got to have is conversations with ourselves. And that's something that we don't do very well. We don't do it well at all, actually. We end up self-doubting ourselves. If anything, the powerful conversation that we have with ourselves ends up being detrimental. We could be talking to ourselves about ways to find anti-suffering, but what we'll do is we'll beat ourselves with the suffering. We'll beat ourselves over the head with the scenario over and over and expecting it to change. It's asinine, but it's what we do. How many of us have done something out of spite? How many of us have done something out of jealousy? How many of us have done something out of hate? You know, we'd all love to say that we've all been loving creatures and that we've, bless up everybody, let's get it in. It's never made any mistakes or never hated or never stole or any of those things. You haven't lived. You're going to get all the wellness wheel. There's not one of us is getting out of this world and not without getting the wellness of someone else. It's a fact of life. And just like men's workout tanks, yes, Flex, someone's talking about it, you know, and just like how it's hot out here, that's my reality. But also my reality is that I'm in the shade and I got my shirt off, so now I'm cooler. You know, we don't adjust our realities. We take it for what it is and we hold it and then we keep it that way for too long. Too long. There's some suffering going on for too long. And instead of finding solutions, what we do is we bitch. We bitch and we moan as if that's going to change the outcome. And what I'm trying to get people to do is get some of the solution. And part of the solution is knowing that you're part of the problem. Knowing that the way we think about it is part of the issue. You know, we need new math. We need a new what's the thing called? Abacus. You know, when they used to have an abacus and used to slide things around to get complicated math done. Our brains are doing complicated math. It's doing things that we've done since we were children, literally since we were children. Dan Bolton, thanks for watching in. We're talking about the morning marijuana motivation this morning. Reframing our minds. You're not depressed. You're disappointed. And how many times have people need to switch their depression for their depression for their disappointment? How we calculate in our minds sometimes, we add it all up and we end up giving ourselves punishments. We end up giving ourselves, we'll be the executioner. And instead of executing our lives and moving forward and being able to move things because something's happened, we'll get stuck. We'll get stuck with the data and be like, this is the way it is. This is the only way that it is. And I haven't adjusted any of my cells. I didn't adjust my attitude. I didn't adjust my perspective. And therefore, it is the way that it is. Instead, it is the way that we make it. We are literally making our own cages. We're like, you know, let me just get this apartment.
work this job 2 3 years, and then we'll start thinking about dating. How many of us have made long-term promises like that, where we just put ourselves on a shelf and said, okay, you're going to be an elf on a shelf for a hot minute. You just need to endure this nasty task, and then things will be better. And we pep talk or talk ourselves into scenarios, and we're like, how did we end up here so long? How did I end up 5 years at Applebee's? Like what did I do to get stuck in these scenarios? And this is what we do. We get stuck in our own ways. And part of it is habitual and part of it's genetics, but most of it's the decisions that we make. You can literally just go and make anything happen. But most of us, we hesitate. We'll just go and go, okay, well, it's hot. I can't go. Well, go grab a water. My brain's always trying to find healthy alternatives, and that's why I called it Saints Addiction. I had to find a healthy alternative. And with that energy, we'll have a helicopter fly over. They just can't help but get in on the show. It's that kind of energy. It's that kind of show. To fly by. But I didn't want my life to just fly by. I wanted to sail with it. I wanted to be more in control of my glider. And instead of letting the winds carry me wherever it wanted to go, I gave myself some sense of direction. I started to say, look, man, at least you're trying and attempting. There are no mistakes here. This is you chipping away to find the solution. Everybody wants the solution to be one pill, one bike, one perfect person. It's all outside of us. As soon as it hits, we'll be set. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. It's a lot of trial and error out there. You got to keep trying and erroring to find yourself. You're gonna have to find yourself in different scenarios, and each time you're in a different scenario is a measurement of how you're operating. Like each person you're interacting with is engagement on your mood. Even if it's just a simple checkout line or meeting somebody at the park randomly or a long time friendship, we have habits. We have kept these habits so true to ourselves, and we'll fight for them, much like religion. We'll be like, this is the way I believe. You can't convince me of any way else. This is the way it is. And again, it's the way you make it. If you make yourself religious, then that's what the way you're going to be. If you're going to make yourself self-aware, then that's the way you're going to be. We can make ourselves educated. We could change anything we want. We can change our lives, and that's something that I had to get back to. Is I love my life, and I wanted people else to know that they could love their lives too. How important that is. And we can go inside of ourselves and go, okay, that thing that I don't like, I can fix it. I can reframe it and make it better. I can make my prison scenario better. I can make my health better. I can make my communication better. Everybody can improve in all three of those categories, and they know it. They know that they could be healthier, but they don't choose it. And we get down to choices. It's like you're the one that reached for the fries instead of the carrots. We could eat carrots. Salads over burgers. And then we'll be like, well, they made it. They're eating it. They're eating bacon. But the pork will go to your heart. I know I get heart pains too. Some of this food is just not healthy for us. We have to have these conversations. We got to say to ourselves, like, yo, who's in control of this bitch? And usually our emotions are. We are just so emotional. 95% of the time, it's who's driving the ship. And I wanted to talk this morning about something deep and say, who's driving your ship? Who's sailing your ship around the world? Who's going to the seven seas? Are you in port? Are you constantly taking your boat out of water and scraping barnacles? Are you ever going on adventures, or you just like to look at the boat in the water and pretend that you did? That's what kind of journeys we're on. Are you an actual sailor? Are you able to take years of your life and go on a different path? Are you stuck? Are you stuck in port and this is your port and you're always going to be here? Maybe the sailing life isn't for you. Maybe you're okay with just being the way that you are. If you're getting this show, that's not what's happening. If you're getting this show at all, someone's recommended it to you, because I don't have that many fans, but people that do watch it know what time it is, and it's the time to have those deep conversations. It's morning marijuana motivation time. It's time for us to go like, yo, you take control. get mobile, get up, get a shower, brush your teeth, put some deodorant on, go someplace. Where are you going to go? Doesn't matter. What? Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just boldly go. And I can't tell you how many times I was, remember one of them was I got inspired when we were doing cutting shirts, and we had stencils, and I made stencils for these shirts. But one of the cool parts of it was to um, the stencils was to just to get up and go outside and look for some cardboard. And right outside, as soon as I went outside, right in one of the dumpsters is one of those thick cardboards that goes for the hot water heater. Yep, there it is. Pop it like it's hot. Pop it like it's hot. You guys are dicks. Rushing them. Rushing in. Wish they would rush in for people with depression. Wish they would come in and fix some topics that's undercover. Nope. We'd rather pull our energy around punishment, build more prisons instead of rehabilitate, instead of talking about talking to yourself. Stop calling it meditation. Call it self-talk. How's your self-talk? And that's what it was for me. My self-talk was brutal. I just was beating myself up. I totally beat myself over this abortion. I feel like I made the biggest mistake of my life. I felt that I needed more whippings, and maybe because I came from an abusive childhood, like when things got bad, you actually did get a whooping. So maybe my brain paired that together, or possibly, or most definitely paired punishment and pain with learning. And instead of going, I can just open a book and learn, or I could breathe and learn. I wish I had some breathing techniques. I don't really practice that much that often. I'm not a perfect human being, but I am self-aware enough to do this show and keep it real, and reach, preach, and teach to people about things that I learned about this complicated subject called depression. You know, my depression survivor. Oh, what's perspective? But when I beat it, now I have to beat it again. I'm giving everybody my techniques to beat it. And one of them is just reframing. By constantly reframing things, there's something the way we talk to ourselves and others that really dictates our lives. We don't put that much credence into it, but it's true. The way we talk to others will dictate the way we talk to ourselves. We can almost tell how someone talks to themselves, or how their people talk to them when they were kids. So that's something that's really imperative. It's like, shut up, like that's how their parents talk to them. Sure, they're saying shut up to me right now, but I'm looking at them like, man, somebody must have talked to you that way. Somebody must have told you to shut the fuck up, or be rude, or cut you off, or just aggressive type communication. My communication gets aggressive when I run out of words. When I feel trapped or not in control, I demand it, I fight for it, and then I establish it. I almost out alpha everyone and beat my chest unconsciously like a gorilla, but I'm not a gorilla. Cats and dogs might mimic us as human beings, right? Like our behaviors and our attitudes and our moods. But, tigers aren't up in trees talking about their personalities. Iguanas aren't looking at they're not just sunbathing, they're getting the energy from the sun so they can hunt later. We do a lot of things of self-service and self-attitudes, egos, placating ourselves like, yo, let me just get this coffee and look cute. It's all I have to do is get a coffee, look cute, and show my butt and cleavage, and give up my self-respect. What happened to our honor? To honor ourselves and honor other people. We have no honor because we think they have no honor. So it's like a strike first mentality, when you could be the change. You could be the change you want to see in the world. You could be the Mahatma Gandhis of the group. You could be the Martin Luther Kings of the group. we can be the change that we want to see in the world. And that's the conversations I have with people every morning, is that we can be the change. And I'm hoping somebody gets a call on this show so they can tell them or their own story of things that they've changed. I'll tell you some of mine since no one's in here, so we'll still keep going. But the thing that I changed was that my things are things. Once somebody told me that the things I own end up owning me, I really see it that way. My poor buddy Hamilton, he's just some things in a spare room. And now people have to carry him around in 100-degree weather, and it's just things. You would realize that about yourself. You know, I don't want anybody to go on an airplane, but I'm sure you brought important things with you on the airplane. If the airplane goes down, these things aren't so important. We put so much energy in things that aren't important. Again, saving up to buy another product or something we perceive to make our lives easier, and we keep playing for easy lives instead of doing the difficult work of like breathing exercise or exercise in general. We'll just go to the doctor, set the appointment, get the fat pills versus go for walks and get our minds right and clear. I mean, the choices are there. They're healthy. They're cheap. You can grab the carrots, and you know, like I know, they're out there. But we don't do it. We don't do it on a regular basis. I'm shocked at human behavior. We constantly choose the easy ways out, or we constantly choose, detrimental things and things that tend to beat us up. And that's the only real, because when we talk about addictions, that's what's real about it. Is what things that we choose but are detrimental to us. And part of it's that beat up talk, the way we talk to ourselves inside, and it's not healthy and it's not cool, but it's true. We have a way to beat ourselves down instead of lift ourselves up, instead of giving ourselves credit for trying. A lot of people don't even do that. They sit there right on the spikes of the porch, the old dog yelping, too lazy to get up off its own spike that it's sitting on. It decided to flop down. We've all seen an old dog flop down, but its choice of seating, that's the thing we have. We have a choice to sit somewhere. I mean, you might not have much of a choice to sit somewhere on an airplane, but you have a choice of destinations to go, attitudes to have, perspectives to take. These have all been choices, and we've all chosen this whole way. And it's like, whoa, fuck sakes, what in my belief system needs polished? This springtime. What needs spring cleaning in my mind? What deserves a makeover? How do I get back on track? What did I want to fix? What was my goal and purpose in the first place? How many of us are talking about goals and purposes? How many of us getting back on track? Say, yo, let's take action. Let's not eat that fast food no more. We said we didn't want to, and that's what we're going to do. Yo, we said we were going to save this money instead of spend this money like crazy. Remember when we said that? Yeah, I do remember that actually. Okay, well, let's keep our word on that, and let's make that a reality. And that's what we need to do, is keep our own realities in check. We go inside of ourselves and say, yo, self. Oh, this is my shirt from yesterday. I got shirts all over the place. I'm a fucking full-on shirt addict. If you love shirts like I do, make sure you get some. Get one of these Saints brand ones. Make sure you get some. Underscore shirt addict underscore at Instagram, shirt addict underscore shirt addict. Get yourself some. Get yourself some shines, get yourself some shirts. We're working on these websites, yo. Man, I can't even tell you how hard it is to develop YouTubes and making them grow. The channel keeps growing. The next objective is 10,000 subscribers, and start ramping this thing up with some thumbnails and some editing and some clever work. But that's going to be it. That's what we're doing these days. We're going to make it work, getting this whole dream to work, this whole system to work, man. I have 438 domain names. It's a lot. and working on most of them to get up and um, working on getting another expert because someone else quit, finding ways around my obstacles and destinations inside yourself and physically. The challenge of it. Most people, they don't challenge themselves to. It's like, you can go anywhere you want to go. They've been telling you to boldly go where no man's gone before, and you can go where you've never been before. Going realms inside yourselves, finding new ways, and rebooting your system is so cool. It's such a spring cleaning, but it's so possible for all of us to say, I don't like this about myself. I don't like this, and I'm gonna go fix it. I'm gonna learn this lesson, and instead of just not even to start talking, you start walking. You start walking the walk. You start practicing it a little bit. You start actually exercising. The momentum gets back into your body. It gets back into your diet. We talked about that the other day. So important. Again, mind, body, soul, and you get your mind in it. Your mind starts activating your body. Your body starts activating your soul. You just consume all the light energy that you can. I'm not just talking about vegans or vegetarians. I'm just talking about non-synthetic stuff. No sodas, no fast foods. We all know what's healthy for us, but will we choose our health? Will we choose us? Will we choose a better path? And that's the question of the life, our lives, honestly, is will we choose better? And a lot of us will be choosing that suffering still. Learned that about it yesterday. Still working my way through that book. There was another book that said, "Fuck your feelings." If you ever get a chance, it was written by a Navy SEAL. I think it's a 9-hour audiobook. I'd be digesting these audiobooks, but his explanation was he was exhausted, and the guy came and put his heel in the sand, and they've been lifting poles all day and doing sit-ups together, and they're shivering, they're peeing on themselves to keep themselves warm, like they're really getting brutalized out there. Navy SEAL training, I need them to say less, right? And this guy, say less, and this guy goes and says, the guy, he said, couldn't move, and he said, he put his line in the sand. He said, there's a certain time in your life, there's a time where you can make a decision. Are you the type of person to just sit there and take it or keep moving forward? And he said he crossed that line, and it was monumental to his life. He said, I'm done with my feelings. Fuck the way that I feel. It's what I'm going to think from here on out. And this is why I've been going live for so long, because this is a really deep subject, but it's been very powerful for me lately. And it's all, again, mastering our emotions is now you know the power of your thoughts. Now you really know what you've been doing with your thought powers. Like, all of our computers are on and CPUs, and they're mining for what the fuck those things called, cryptocurrencies. I mean, are you mining your mind? Are you literally going into it and establishing some type of dominance, and saying, I run this, not my body, not how I feel, because it's always going to lie to you. It's always going to say your wrist hurts, Mark, like it does now, or time to get some Kush lotions on your shoulders, like it does now. The right one, right here, right shoulder, right hip, right neck. I mean, it could talk to me. It is talking to me. I'm listening, and I'm choosing to listen to my feelings. You hear me? I'm choosing. This is a deep subject. Thank you for that energy. That to say, I only go by my feelings, and now I'm 95% controlled by it. It wasn't even really my purchase. It's that I felt I needed to purchase. It wasn't exactly what I wanted. It's what the commercial made me feel like I wanted, right? I was watching too many other people, and now all of a sudden I got a big floppy hat like I'm fucking, what are those guys called? The deputies from Canada? Like, you could be so basic, and yet there you are, and you're like, why did I buy it? Well, I thought it was stylish. Okay, but why did you buy it now? Because everyone else is at the festival with the same type of hat. That's groupthink. That is what ends up happening when you're basic and you get led astray, and you don't know how else to explain it, but you want to fit in. and you want to fit in so bad that you're willing to match, and you want your dogs to match you, and they'll have your eating habits and your body habits and your mood. We just talked about that. We want things to be congruent to us, but we don't want to be congruent to it, and that's the entitlement. And there it is. It's like the attitude toward it is a thought. You think that you're superior, or you deserve a certain thing, and therefore you're going to act as if. A lot of us can be the pauper and the king at the same time. You want to be off with his head and judgmental, and of course you want to kill prisoners until you're the prisoner, and then you don't want to be killed. You want a fair trial, and you want to be heard and some rehabilitation and a second chance. People just do that. We do that all the motherfucking time. We want second chances, but we don't give second chances. We want reprieve, but we're full of anxiety. We're so dichotomy. Thank you for that imagery right there. It's so powerful, this message. To say that, holy shit, I am in control of me. Holy shit, I've been accountable for a lot of decisions, and holy shit, they've been based off of emotions. They've been 95% of it was just me trying to fit in and spending my money that I didn't have so I could compare myself to other people. There's so much of it was insecurity, not feeling like I was loved enough or I was enough. And if I didn't feel loved, then I didn't love back. And then I didn't show love because I didn't feel love. And then I became a hater, really, a judger. How many of us have done that? And this is just facts. These are our ways of reacting to each other and interacting with each other for decades, centuries, and eons. And I'm just bringing it out now. I'm talking about it because it needs to be talked about. There's so much power in our thoughts. That reframing is part of it, but it's also like training. Training our minds not to jump on our phones, and you feel how powerful you are. Desert Eagle 5.0, there's my guy right there on Saints Addiction Live. Man, you can call in too if you want, bro. I know you just got in, but let me catch you up. We're talking about reframing our minds, and that today you're not depressed, you're disappointed. And to really just say that things don't work out in life the way that we want them to. Yo, we say hi in here with the GH, baby. Hi. Let me get back to that. It is the Morning Marijuana Motivation. I've already gone for an hour and a half live on the YouTube. And what I've been doing is the last hour after giving the reach, preach, and teach, and really the preach in the morning. You know how I do. I love to shine and get it off my mind and share the information that I've been learning. And this power of thought is just so tremendous. I mean, fuck your feelings. He said he made that book to jump off the shelves and say to people, yo, to get their attention. He already said that. So he said, fuck your feelings is an attention getter. It's like, whoa, he risked the chance of being rude to motherfuckers. He said, I'd rather be rude and get the sale than get ignored and not get any sales at all. So Navy SEAL crossed the line, and he said he was the type of person where he said, I'm leaving my feelings behind. On this side of the beach, when they were working out Navy SEAL training, he was saying that that's what was happening. He decided as a man that day, that powerful moment, that he no longer was a man controlled by his feelings, but by his thoughts. He was going to tell his body what to do. He was going to tell his mind to move his body. You should be doing those workouts instead of us sitting there and not and thinking about it, but not having any action to it. He made his mind take action. That's so important, pivotal for all of us to let our minds take action and start figuring out a way. I got a shirt that says, figure it out. Figure it out by having conversations with your brains, sitting there long enough to figure it out. I'm talking about that movie Alive. Has anybody ever seen the movie Alive when all the whole soccer team was stuck in the Andes? I mean, there's going to be a time where you're going to have to figure it out. You come back, Moby Dick, your main ship is broken and all you guys got is these little small ships and no supplies. What the fuck? Yeah, you're going to have to figure it out and let your mind figure it out. They started tracking all the lanes of all the shipping lanes and how far they were. And you become a star watching motherfucker the moment you're out in the ocean. I stay around because you're one of the real ones. You just don't talk that talk. Thank you, bro. I'm going to screenshot that. Yeah, I think that's why the message is still going on. Been out on this balcony, mom's balcony, um, 10 years ago almost. I think it's just been so long. And it went on Good Morning America smoking weed. And I need to make a shirt that says not so PG-13. But that's what they were saying. And I had my shirt off, which I just had moments ago. I try to keep my shirt off for you guys, but it's fucking hot out here. And, Vegas weather, but that's what it was. I was out here, Vegas weather, just talking to myself basically. And, my friends wanted me to. I basically wore everybody out talking this way. Out preached everyone. My poor mother, my girlfriends, all my friends. I couldn't shut up. Even on acid out there on the dry lake bed years ago, I said I'm always going to talk about this. I'm always going to talk about, you know, prison reform. Is basically my Senator Saint platform. This is my uh, uh, pulpit as preacher saint, the pop preacher, but it's also the Senator Saint in my platform. And what do they call that when you're going in a campaign? What's it called? You melted in Florida, also. Yeah, bro. I had to fucking take off my shirt, sweating down my fucking fat. I was doing laps, but what's it called when you're campaigning and these are the points. What are the points when you're campaigning? Anyone at all? When you're fuck smoking weed, campaign platform. These are your bullet points. No, what are the campaign things that they run for? Anyways, this is my campaign promises, if you will. Right. This is what I do this to get this change out of the world, and this is I'm high too. Bless up with me, Desert Eagle. Thanks for always following. And hey, you know what I love about you and this network is that other people get off on it. I'll see you be friends with some other people that are in the network, and I'm like, that's what's up. That's why I built Marketing, and Marketing by Science is for us to reach, preach, and teach to each other, right? It makes no sense just for you to hear me, hear some other people, hear me now, that there's other people. And what I'm really working on is with my Fiverr guys is getting some of these videos linked in with the live and go back to the live, and when I point to the corner it can go to yesterday's video, and then you'll be able to click it and get some reference points to some of these videos that I watch that you can digest later. Some of them are audiobooks, some of them are TED Talks. This is all, it's all motivational. I love this stuff. I also digest it. So when I need it in my life, I reach for it too. Instead of reaching for the bottle, I go reach for me a motivational juice. We're going to make motivated juice. We got motivated and motivated juice. The motivated juice is obviously infused, but everybody needs some motivation. We're going to need it. And it comes from juices. It comes from fresh fruits, vegetables and fruits to tables, and getting people that freshness, that light energy. It's literally light. It's like coal. Coal's been compressed. It's light energy. That's how much energy we have inside of ourselves. Thanks for that thumbs up, by the way. But he said, I'm high. Too funny. But what isn't funny is the power of our mind. This is no joke. This is something so pivotal. I can't express to you when you say that you want to do something. My buddy's in the Amazon right now. He's going up the river of the Amazon. He's living his life. 37, 38 years old, just turned 38. And he got to go to the Amazon before he was 40. I got to climb Machu Picchu before I was 40. I have goals and things that I'm like, well, at least my heart's still pumping and my knees are still moving. I might as well breathe with these lungs. Go breathe new existences and brave it. I don't think anybody wants to will it anymore. They want to control everything. They want to control everything. Don't mind me, I got a booger in my nose, but yeah, like control everything, and like their lives are in control. We are at the whims of Mother Nature if we're not paying attention right now, and we're also at the whims of our heart. You gotta do it from your heart from the start. This bad boy ain't gonna always work. I get heart pains like right here and here. And I know my heart's not going to work forever. My grandpa died when he was 52. I'm grateful that my mom's over 60. Lord knows how long my dad's going to live. Lord knows how long you're going to live. And that's the point, is to live before you die. I'm like, whoa, what? Yeah. Our challenge is that we believe we got time. We got enough. When they first invented TV, they believed no one had time for TV. And now we are consumed by dopamine and apps and our phones. And I mean, I've been almost on an hour and a half, but I mean, like, legitly, I'm the only person that's like, get off this thing. You know, one of my favorite feelings is having the power to put my phone down, not only for business purposes, but to control what's happening with me in my life. And you're like, you need to go eat, okay? Put your phone down. No, you're not calling anybody back. There's always going to be a pop up of notifications till you eat. Nothing's that important than your health. But they'll convince you, keep buying our products. You'll be all right. I'm going through some heavy shit right now. I know the power of the mind. Good. I'm glad we had this conversation then, bro. Glad you watched it. I just went through some real heavy shit my damn self, and it's not light, and I'm not going to make it about me. What I do want to make it about is the education of mindset, the education of the what's it's called, the book we were talking about it yesterday. Mastering Your Emotions is what's the name of the book. But the our ability to keep ourselves in situations, right? Like we'll keep ourselves in bad relationships, we'll keep ourselves in bad jobs. We have been able to capture ourselves with, I don't have enough resources, I'm too scared, XYZ might happens, instead of I'm just gonna make it happen. And that's what I love about my best friend right now. He's on the journey of his life. I keep telling him, there's this movie called The Game. If you've never seen it, it's got Michael Douglas in it. It's like, what do you give the man that has everything? And in The Game, they gave him his life back. I mean, sure, he's in a coffin in Mexico with no money. Hello, I've been in that scenario. Thank you, Mr. Energy. I've been in that scenario. 3 days, 3 nights in an Ensenada prison. And actually, I got 20 minutes to go. I'll tell you the story, Morning Glory. But let me get some water in there first. So this water's holding up this phone, but not anymore. So I am a 3-time felon across the world. Really fuck up epically, and this time was no stranger. So I get kind of bitter at life because I get mad at the things that happen to me, and I feel like they're insanely out of proportion. And that probably feels the same way for you, that the punishment doesn't fit the crime. Anyway, when I'm not busy getting built stronger, I was in an Ensenada prison, making myself weaker. I had was supposed to go with my homie. Oh my God, got it. And he canceled at the last minute. He gave me like $600, paid for his ticket for the Groove Cruise on the cruise ship, and I went straight to Long Beach myself, from Las Vegas here to Long Beach. And I was exhausted because I was just working. So I've been on a lot of cruises, so I didn't make it to Mustard and I didn't check in. It's probably my biggest mistake right there. So I slept like as soon as we took port. Now it sailed, and I wake up and I'm up early trying to figure out, go to the gym, figure out who are my friends, where do I check in, and these people are like, just go to Papa's and Beers, and we'll give you your wristband. Okay, so I meet up the people, and they're just like, everybody here's part of the cruise. Make a friend. Here's your wristband. Like, didn't give a shit about me. No check-in policy. Nothing. Just, you'll make it. And I start hanging out with people I didn't know, and somehow something got in my drink where I lost consciousness. Now, I'm not sure what it was because I've never done it before. I would probably call it a roofie. I've been roofied before. I mean, literally lost consciousness. I mean, I even anyway, while I'm not blacking in and out, all I remember is the cops coming towards me, and one of the captains and the cops with M16s, two of them coming right towards me, and I ended up getting arrested in Mexico for like a little ounce of blow. I had like less than a gram in one of those little brown vials, and I was so fucked off I didn't even throw it out. I didn't try to hide any evidence. I was really incapacitated. All I remember is being in the back seat and the dude like hit me, and I started peeing my pants, and then I kind of slept a lot, and I woke up in an Ensenada prison, like when the drugs wore off. Talk about reality checks. South Korean prison. Talk about reality checks. You've had times that have checked you. You know, um, there's times that have checked you so you can check in, and it really lifts off the bullshit. I sometimes sit sedentary too, and I just remember that I was in a prison and I need to get out of the room. That's a threat to my lifestyle. Staying inside of a box is not my thing, and that's because of prisons, and also challenging my life to live, because otherwise I would have spent that time in the prison. And they would have gladly parked my soul. And how many of us park our souls is what we're talking about. We frame ourselves in a room, in a thought, in a fear, and it needs to be broken free. There has to be our ability to say, I have control over my mind. Like, I'm not talking to myself, I'm just saying there's mantras to be said that you can literally prove to yourself. Like, many times I've done it with cigarettes. I was like, oh shit, this thing's trying to get to my mouth, and no way. Here, let me take control. Let me put this down right here, and I'm in control. Now what? I feel the power of control and self control. Not I have control over someone else, but self control. And I've been losing my own self control through my emotions. And that's what I learned from mastering my emotions. And I had to learn it because it's not in school or a curriculum. We're going to have to learn ourselves. Isn't that scary? Yeah. And I was just like, it scared me enough to wake up and go, what's important to me? When I'm in the South Korean prison, I mean, the first sentence of the book is like, how the fuck did I get here? How many of us have said that? Our own actions, our own habits, and our own behavior, getting ourselves into situations that we got ourselves into. That's so pivotal. It's so pivotal to have that conversation with ourselves and say, this is the reason I chose this, and oh shit, that was based off of emotions. And I'm not trying to ask people to be robots. What I'm saying is giving ourselves more strength behind our thoughts and going, okay, you know what, for the last little bit, I've been in my head, in my way on some heavy shit. Instead of curing my suffering and taking arrows out of my heart, I keep digging the dagger deeper inside of myself. How many people do that and just bam, 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 instead of what am I going to do to take action with it? Of course things happen to us. That's the first arrow. That's I can't deny that. There's going to be other things, and I'm sad about it too. I thought I mastered my life enough to not have any tragedy hit me, and then I realized that one day my mom will still die, my dad will still die, everyone that I know and love might die around me. Like, I got to get used to loss and heavy shit, and relearn how to lift heavy stuff. Like what they say, to lift with your legs. Stop lifting with my soul and start lifting with my mind. If that makes any sense. Some literal taking the Jedi out of it, taking the fucking what was the movie at Star Wars where Yoda teaches them how to take the X-wing? Okay, that's called X-wing, out of the motherfucking the water, the muck, the nasty, the our heads, that all of us are like that. So, I don't think you've ever come live with me, Desert Eagle, but here, let me invite you. You can get in and tell me what you've overcome. Tell me what you've overcome. Maybe you can come smoke with me and get in on the show. We got about 15 minutes to go. Yes, bless. Yes, look at the. Yes, dude. Beards on shirts, baby. Beards on shirts, dude. You're live off the 95, man. Everybody can get on.
Last minute, man.
Yeah, dude. Thank you for getting on the show, first and foremost. I don't think you ever got on, huh?
Well, no. One night, you was experiencing really groovy hallucinations.
Yep.
And we did have this, but I surely would not remember it.
Was I supposed to remember it? Probably not.
No.
Some of those walls in the minds, man. That's what I love about psychedelics. It opens up different realms,
Right.
Not my typical realm. But yeah, man, I'm sorry you're going through some heavy shit, bro. You know?
Yeah, man. My mom, bro, she stage 4 cancer. You know, she's got to live with it. You know what I mean? Right now, she's done, let me see, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, like 14 rounds of chemotherapy. And she's 74, man, and she's doing so awesome, but I'm not doing awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hardcore. We had to move her in with me and my wife. You know what I mean? We had to move her in here and take care of her, man. But it's just amazing how she's doing. But my mind, man, it's so heavy on me. It's, oh man, it's
bunch of rocks in the backpack.
Oh man, shoes. This is where she is now. I took her. She's been at chemo since 10 o'clock this morning. Be like 4 hours every Tuesday, 4 hours. But man, it's just like, it just done in your brain, dude. You know what I mean? It's because I'm having to get up all around the clock, and,
right.
You know, my mom, she's in the other room. I got to make sure she's fine. So I ain't getting no sleep, and it's just.
Bless up to mom.
We had to change. We had to change everything. We had to change everything. I mean, I had to stop
all your plans.
Everything.
All your plans changed.
I had to stop. All my plans had to stop. Everything.
It's like going to prison.
It's just
everybody pretends like the direction's just north and the road's straight. And man, world travel's really taught me that the most. But it was like your best made plans will be laid to waste in front of you.
Right.
Just laid to waste in front of you.
Right.
And then when you explain it, because like I took a screenshot the other day, but cancer is the second biggest killer, bro.
Right.
After,
man, it's
after heart disease.
And I don't even know how it's everywhere. It's literally everywhere. I don't know how somebody could, it's hardcore, man.
Someone else just mentioned that right before I got actually on this call. I can't remember who had said it, but they had mentioned something else about someone else with cancer. And every time I hear about death, my immediate reaction is to live.
Sure.
Like my bounce back, my reflective possibilities of it is that's a signal to live. You know?
I'm trying right now, but I gotta live for her right now. And she's she's 74 and she's stubborn as hell. And she's got her own house. She's been having a house built. Her house has not even finished being built. She's planning on wanting to go to her house. I'm like, I don't know if that's gonna happen. And
yeah,
hard.
What I'm hearing you say is the word impermanence. The impermanence of it. The role that we end up playing, the parents of our parents.
Sure.
That change is a flip of a motherfucking proportion. Your brain's getting the other side of the pancake for sure. And you're just like, I went from getting my ass wiped to I'm wiping this ass.
Yep, exactly.
It also is a shout out to us and how impermanent our lives are. It's the reason why a lot of young people don't spend as much time with old people, because it kind of wears off the illusion that you got unlimited amount of time.
Oh, that ain't the case. I mean, I lost my brother. My brother died at a massive heart attack at 37 years old.
That's why I keep grabbing my heart from the start. My grandpa died at 52, and I hear a lot of these cases, especially younger men, hypertension. Heart disease is the number one, so it just superseded your stage 4 cancer. Let me give you a 30-year-old heart attack.
Yeah.
You're like, who the fuck does that?
My brother that's still alive, he's 55, and he's been on high blood pressure medicine for 22 years. But I'm different than them, man. They got that type A personality. Set them off in a quickness. They pissed off, rant, rage. Me, man, I ain't like that. Everything slides off my shoulder. Smoke a little bud. I don't let shit get to my brain.
Bless you. Yeah, man. What's good, brother? We got Nick's in the house, man. We're doing 10 minutes less of Shine right now. We got 10 minutes of Shine. We're going live almost 2 hours on the Morning Marijuana Motivation on YouTube. And the day is to talk about the switch in our minds to not look at things in despair and depression, but looking at things and saying, this is learning, this is growth.
Yeah, and it is. I can tell you, this is a whole new growth and learning for me. and it ain't. When they say old dog can't learn new tricks, that ain't the case, man.
No, you're still growing.
Man,
You're part of the cycle with your mom. You're part of the cycle.
I said recently, if man has evolved, why haven't we seen anything evolving? And I'm seeing it.
Right.
I'm seeing me evolve.
Oh yeah, growth is incremental. It's
Right.
small, like plants, but we notice it.
Yeah.
We notice it. We notice when the seasons change. We notice when the leaves are down and up. It's a part of us. You know what I was about to tell you is that we're talking about the cycle of life, and what was really cool about mushrooms and mycelium, it's the beginning and end of life, bro. It's the growth and the end. When we go back down to it, when we get back dust to dust, dawn to dawn, it's the beginning and end. You this guy knows you from Periscope. The lives are so given without asking. You're given a life, but you're not given a manual, and then now you become part of the cycle. So quickly you realize that you're growing, your adolescence, you're a growth part of the cycle, and then all the rest of us are now finding that there's an end of the cycle too. We only get to see beginning because it's the crest. We don't ever see the dark side of the moon. We don't establish these rooms, and that's what I was really loving about having these conversations. Is what you're really saying is that I love my mom. I love her with all my heart. I wish she'd be around forever, and I'm gonna have to get used to loss.
Absolutely.
It's a fact of life, bro. It's a fact of life. You're gonna. It's almost like me lying to you and saying, "Are there no natural disasters?"
Right.
Is there never going to be an earthquake? Let me promise you some snake oil right now, sir. No tornadoes are coming your way. I promise you. As soon as you swallow this elixir, you won't feel no pain. Like that's oxytocin. Oxycontin. That's all the pitches of opioids and opium from the dusk till dawn is that I can fix it right now. And they're giving it for toothaches or stomach cancers or whatever. I recommend CBDs. But really,
I love it. Hell yeah.
Yeah, we're doing calm CBDs now.
It's almost rainy season here, so we'll be hitting the cow pastures. We got some of the best mushroom picking around in this where I live. That's and honestly, what's funny saying is behind the Florida Highway Patrol Station is the best picking.
Can't stop the plant.
I picked behind the Florida Highway Patrol Station.
Can't stop
where
plants.
I live in my county.
Can't stop plants. I love it. I love it. Yeah. So you're in Florida then. I got a couple mates out there in St. Pete and all that area.
Oh, that's where I was born in St. Pete.
Oh, really? Yeah, I
was born there. I only live about 40. I only moved about 40 miles away.
Yeah, he said I love shrooms. We actually got mushrooms on shirts. Yeah. We're making a lot of backdrops with mushrooms now.
Right.
The blankets and tapestries, depending if you want to keep it as a blanket or put it over the window, But we got a lot of those going on right now, and working on the Fifth Element Festival for healing, and it's all organic, no synthetics, no alcohol. It's all healing,
We always had that same saying, you know what I mean? Flick it before you pick it. Give her a little flick it.
That should be a shirt. When are we gonna get you a Beards on shirts, man? When are we gonna get you?
I had that. That thing was. Remember, it used to be down almost to my waist.
Wizard.
It was 13 years, not even barely trimmed it a quarter inch in 13 years. And
That's what's up.
Last year, my birthday, I went in there and just
change.
I'm gonna go ahead and just be done with it.
Change.
I came out, my wife about shit herself.
Right. Right.
She freaked the hell out.
Well, but that's what I wasn't doing either. I shaved mine for a change, and that I'm not just one thing.
Sure, me too.
You get married to this identity, and then you got to be the bearded guy. It's almost like being the fat guy, and now you're giving up your heart health.
Well, then when people
to stay 300 pounds, you're like, you might want to be 200 pounds, bro. You might want to be less than 200 pounds, and we'll still call you Biggie.
After I shaved it off, people would see me without it, and then they're still describing me with it. I said, hey, I was before the beard. I came before that beard.
Right.
And remember me before the beard. So it's gone now. You can remember who I was.
and who I am now. Allow me to reintroduce myself. I'm this person that has mental powers, and that's what I was giving out there today. Was that the old me would very much so play victim and suffering and wear those arrows instead of acknowledging the first pain that my mom is gonna die, your mom's gonna die. That's a reality.
Absolutely.
Not getting over growth in human behavior, and that the natural, I mean, how many times do we drove past the memorials? It's not my day. Or a car gets pulled over, it's not my day. But eventually you will be pulled over, and eventually you'll be on the hill. It's like we take the churns of it. How many of us live between that churn? What's the quality of life? And that's what I'm always preach to my mom when she's sick in the bed and doesn't want to get out, and all the medicines, and I try to give her more weed than she has pills, and weed over pills all day. But quality of life, I want to enjoy quality meals and in quality time with these people while I have it.
Man, I'll tell you, man, I since this has been going on with my mom, man, the difference I see when I give her RSO is amazing. I mean, anybody that goes through any type of cancer deal, man, if they don't try it, they're they're hurting themselves, man. She is so much better when she used that RSO. It's unbelievable.
And let me establish,
she never used cannabis before she was like 16 years old. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It'd been 100 years since she used it.
Yes.
And then step right into RSO, man.
Yes.
Step right in.
RSO is Rick Simpson oil. Most people should know it, but don't. And they also need to know that it usually comes in a plastic syringe because it's gummy-like. Tell me I'm lying.
Yeah.
And it's black in substance, almost looks like tar. And you just literally push out the littlest bit of the little worm on your finger, your palm, and put it underneath your tongue. Some people use it as a suppository. You can do that too. Yeah. I'm not asking you to stick your finger up your butt for this one. I'm just literally keep your finger out, put a little doo-doo drop on there, put it underneath your tongue. Show them, Desert Eagle. This is what it looks like, y'all. RSO, give yourselves a chance. Even if you're not, I got a buddy in Thailand that puts a couple drips in his coffee in the morning just to have it. You can see the oil floating on the top. Yeah. Hell, if you're gonna consume fried chicken oil, you might as well consume some Rick Simpson oil for fuck's sake.
Oh yeah.
Like I got plenty of chicken oil going through my veins. I'm sure I don't need that any more than you do. Or bacon fat. I'm being real.
Man, I think like 14 different
source and smoke safely, y'all. Join Weed Club. Desert Eagle, you gotta get your Weed Club card, bro. There it is, just like that. And I think the syringe scares people, but that's why it has to be explained and shown. It has to be, it's viscous, and it has to be controlled, and you only need such a small amount that you need to measure it out that way. So most people need just like the littlest bit.
I give her a size of a half of a grain of rice.
Thank you.
In I give it to her in a vegan capsule so she don't have to taste it.
There you go. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a blessing.
It is.
On this blessing, I got 2 hours strong here on this YouTube. I'm going to get off of it. I'll stay with you here. But all the people that get to watch YouTube, they can comment below. This is what we've been starting to do, is open source this, like I'm calling you, and getting other people's strategies for mental health. And then that way they can say, okay, hey, this works for me.
That means a lot, man, especially when people will actually not scared to talk about it. That's a big thing. People don't want to, you think I want somebody to know that I'm going through some hard times in my mind right now, and it might be a little whining little pussy here in any second, you know what I mean? It comes and goes, man, it comes and goes.
Yeah, no, that's male toxicity, and we'll get into that chapter another time. Well, let me sign off with this one. Lola just got on, so I'll stick on this one on YouTube. Grateful she came on. But everyone else, comment below on Saints Addiction Live on YouTube. You know, Chigathon, that means goodbye but not forever, and finish.
Now, you got a YouTube account too?
Yeah, you're on my YouTube Live. Say goodbye to everybody on the YouTube Live.
Yeah. Okay.
And
so
you got 22
I gotta
seconds
go.
remaining on you're here too. So we were live for an hour. This was live for 2 hours. It's goodbye but not forever, man. Let's talk to each other another time.
Absolutely.
Love you, bro. Keep your chin up.
Yeah.
Stay blessed, not
You too,
stressed.
bro.
I'll see you guys on the
Oh,
other
yeah.
side. Ciao.